Humanitarian crisis in Ukraine got even worse today as heavy shelling from Russian forces killed civilians and caused widespread destruction. Ukraine is accusing Russia of using a medieval-style siege to cut off one town as Russian troops attack Ukrainian forces defending the strategically important city of Mykolaiv. Matt Ingram has the latest on the war.
Heavy combat in areas outside of Kyiv, where Ukrainian and Russian forces fight for control of the northwest suburbs. There are street battles and hand-to-hand combat, according to one Ukrainian soldier, who says about 200 Russians, along with armored vehicles and tanks, push deeper. Kyiv's mayor Vitaly Klitschko says Russian forces are intentionally killing civilians, desperate to escape. In Bucha, Gostomel, Vorzel, and in Irpin, where Ukrainian police say 2,000 civilians have been evacuated so far. Some of these people came under heavy shelling in their homes. This woman says she spent the night huddled with her children in a doorway for safety.
The sound is so scary and the whole building is shaken.
Ukrainian artillery units are firing back, aiming for Russian units north of Kyiv. The Russian advance on the city has been stalled for days. This Ukrainian artilleryman says they are defending their children, and truth is on their side.
I hear fighter jets flying over my house.
Lesia Vasilenko is a Ukrainian member of parliament on the outskirts of Kyiv. She says some people are choosing to stay in their homes as long as possible, even without food or water, because they are worried about being shot by Russian troops.
It looks very much like they're just trying to exterminate Ukrainians as a nation, and essentially that amounts to the crime of genocide.
Vasilenko is helping evacuate women and children from the Kyiv area, but the danger is great. So she decided to send her 3 children, including her 9-month-old baby, to a safer place with her elderly parents in the west.
And I want them to live no matter what, and this is a wish that every mother has.
400 kilometers to the south, Russian shelling of Mykolaiv has been heavy, but the mayor says Ukrainian troops have driven back an attack on the city's airport. The mayor said about 60 missiles had struck the city, and 90% are cluster munitions, which are banned by the Geneva Convention. The carnage at the local hospital causing this doctor to break down and vent his rage at Russia. The Russians need to take Mykolaiv in order to move on Odessa, a port city on the Black Sea said to be much coveted by Vladimir Putin for its strategic value. In Mariupol to the east, civilians under bombardment, surrounded by Russian forces and cut off from utilities, line up for water. Ukraine calling the situation a medieval-style siege. Attempts to set up humanitarian corridors for people trying to leave Mariupol, as well as Kyiv and Kharkiv, mostly failed over the weekend after Russian bombardment continued, breaking a ceasefire. Russia blamed the failure of the corridors on Ukraine, saying it prevented civilians from leaving. Today, a Russian offer to set up corridors from Kyiv to Belarus and Kharkiv to Russia were condemned as immoral by Ukraine's president because it forces Ukrainians to head for enemy territory. Vasilenko says Russian guarantees on corridor safety can't be trusted.
Agree on these green corridors, and then the second they get the chance, they turn them red with blood of Ukrainians.
Both Russia and Ukraine say they made some progress during a third round of talks on the Belarusian border today, but not much. A spokesperson for each side saying that humanitarian corridors will be up and working soon, but they haven't gotten anywhere on making an agreement to end the war. Bombs continue to fall in Ukrainian cities across the eastern half of the country as more than 1.5 million civilians flee the war zone and head west.